It's time to investigate a little bit. Wouldn't you say so? Oh, there go my earbuds. Hello, my friends. My name is Seanderson, and welcome to Ace Attorney Investigations. I decided I want to do this after playing Trials and Tribulations, and well, here I am. Anyway, I'm just going to be doing the demo for now because I've heard mixed reviews on this game, and I don't want to spend $15 on a game I won't enjoy. But anyway, from episode start. Anyway, I figured I'd do investigations. I'm interested in to see what it has. March 14th, this is 1:16 a.m. somewhere. By the way, this is mobile, if you couldn't tell. To make sure the defendant is found guilty, what other choice do I have? That's the job of a prosecutor, after all. That may be true, but why? Why go this far? Sorry, maybe I wasn't clear enough, but the guilty verdict is all that matters to me. No matter what the cost. Ooh. And in true Ace Attorney fashion, we see our killer. He looks like a douche. I'm a prodigy among prosecutors. Always have been, always will be. March 14th, 2:05 a.m. Prosecuted building, 12th floor, hallway. I actually have to hit the arrow. Okay. Do I? Okay. I'm using a different mic and it's like blocking my angle. It's hard to believe that I've been away from my office for a whole month. I hope Detective Gumshoe has been keeping an eye on my office and keeping it clean. Why are you at 2 in the morning? The door is unlocked. Detective Gumshoe? What's this smell? It's very familiar. Blood. Why does every fictional detective character just know what blood smells like? It's such an odd thing. I don't think you can see a thing. What the? Never mind. You can. What's the meaning of this? Please. That's the day Edward died. Identify yourself. Shut up. You've got some nerve committing murder in a prosecutor's office. Is that a threat? No, it's not a threat, it's the real deal. Let me make one thing very clear. What? No one gets away with committing murder in my office. No one. He shoots Edgeworth right then and there. And then he shuffled away. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. My name is Miles Edgeworth, and I work as a prosecutor in my local district. Little did I know that upon my return home after a month abroad, I would be thrust into a multitude of cases in some very frantic and busy days. March 14th, 2:56 a.m. High Prosecutor's Office, room 1202. Ooh, look at this. I finished the photographing. Sir, I can't speak. Mr. Edgeworth, sir, are you okay, sir? Keep it down, detective. This is a crime scene. When I heard that a murder had taken place in your office, I ran up here straight away. This is Dick Gumshoe. He's a detective with the local precinct, and the one they assigned to handle this murder case for the time being. Speaking of things that pique my curiosity, why, of all places, did the murder occur in my office? Crime scene, my office. It really coincidental the murder took place in my office. Logic. Wow. I mean, you can't really say just a coincidence, can you? No, not really. Especially because of this. What is that, sir? It's the keys to my car. The office key, for security reasons, the office door has a lock built into it. I think that's the protocol of most buildings and houses. If you think about it carefully and use logic, it should become clear to you. Well, logic? Did you just have to explain logic to a detective? I know Gumshoe is like a few IQ points shy of average, but he's not that stupid. That is the end result of using logic. So how do you use it? Now to touch the logic button and recall the facts. He just pokes Gumshoe in the eye. Is it a coincidence? No, because of this. No, wrong. There must be a reason why someone infiltrated my room. What was the killer after? The killer scroll. Why did this happen in my office? What was the killer after? Well, let's get started with our investigation, shall we? Yes, sir. Begin investigation. High Prosecutor's Office. The basis of any good investigation is to examine everything, sir. I know that. It just takes out the little organizer at the top. Writes it down. Oh boy, touch screen controls. There's a gun next to your foot. I don't know how you missed that. Examine. What have we here? Could this perhaps be the murder weapon? Just like, Gumshoe, could you take a look down this barrel? I think I've seen one of these before. Just looks in his holster, gun is missing. Huh. Wonder what that would mean. Your logic would really come in handy here, Edgeworth. Oh, I know. I was issued the exact same model. But now that I think about it, you do see this model around the precinct a lot, sir. I don't use mine much except in emergency, that's why I didn't recognize it. So it's the same type of revolver as the ones used by this precinct's detectives. And the crime scene is the same model as the detectives. Nope, okay, apparently this gun is too hard to kick. Examine chessboard. Ouch, they even knocked over your chess set, sir. I had it all set up ready for when you got back. I figured we could play a few games. I had no idea you were interested in chess. I'm not. Wallet. What do we have here? Hey, I think I've seen one of these before. It's a police badge, detective. No, hey, I have the exact same thing, actually. What a coinkadink. Just like, he pulls out his wallet, his police badge is in there. That's my badge on the floor. It would appear that our victim was a detective, just like you. Victim was a detective. Oh, that's smart. Victim was a detective. Wait, no. The revolver was used by the revolver was a police model because the victim was a detective. Yeah, that made me feel so smart. Could have belonged to our recently departed. Nope. Detective Gumshoe, could you please thoroughly check the victim's body one more time? There's nothing up his butt, sir. Let's see what else we can find out about this rover. And Gumshoe, please point that away from my head. Sorry, sir. POV, you are the victim. Check this chamber. A bullet's missing. Looks like only one round was fired from this. I'm gonna fire the remaining 5 rounds at Gumshoe. Oh, 4 rounds. I thought it was a 6 shot. Okay, what's on his hand? Let's give this body a once over. There's blood all over his low abdominal area. It's probably safe to say he was shot in the stomach. It looks like the bullet passed clean through his stomach area, sir. In other words, he was shot in the stomach. Oh, in other words, he was shot. You didn't need to point that out. You did not. Signs of a struggle. What? Jim. Oh, why? How could this happen to a guy like you? Are you alright? Don't touch me. Leave me alone. Just let me be. Sir, but I can't do that. The investigation is still ongoing, so please refrain from touching the body. The body? The body? Don't talk about it like it's just a lump of flesh. Look at him. Jim looks like he's turned in for the night. Sure, just in a blood-stained suit, pal. Where are my manners? Aren't you that prosecutor? Why, yes I am. I'm Jacques Potman, prosecutor. Jim was here. Jim was my partner in the crime busting. I'm Miles Edgeworth, and like you, I'm also a prosecutor. But unlike you, I'm not a murderer. Then it was you. You're the one who killed Jim. Hey, don't go around jumping to conclusions, pal. Just calm down, okay? I will not. I know how these things work around here. High prosecutor's office doors all have locks built into them. And only the owner of the office has the key to his or her office door. That is correct. However, I was not the one who killed your partner. Yeah, Mr. Edgeworth has been overseas on a business trip this whole time, pal. And the key to the door was with me the entire time, okay? So the only one who got in here was me. No. Wait, that means... I'm not sure what that means. Detective. Detective. So it was you then. You're Jim's killer. No, wait, pal, we've got it all wrong. Everyone calm down. Mr. Portsman, correct? If you're a real prosecutor, you should know to stay collected. The investigation has only just begun. Isn't it too early to be drawing conclusions? Your whole gimmick in this game is to draw conclusions. That's your special power. So I'm assuming that's my cue to look over here. And there's a bullet hole in the picture that was shot. Ah, your jacket, sir. What's it doing on the floor? It must have fallen off the wall when the killer tried to threaten me by firing around. So the killer not only shot the victim, but they shot your jacket as well? I had to shoot the ultra special jacket you made in your prosecutorial debut in. What if they shot through it? Well, it would have been a disaster. It's not worth getting worked up over, Detective. Now there's something more here. Huh? Like what? I think you haven't noticed it yet, Detective. There's a giant contradiction right here in front of us. Yep, there are 2 shots fired, but only 1 missing from the gun. Really? Alright, hold on. Eureka. It's not that big of a stretch, Edgeworth. This bullet hole is the contradiction. What do you mean, sir? It's elementary. 2 shots were fired in this room. First, fell the victim. And the second fell this frame. Hey, that's right. However, this gun was only fired once, and it's gonna fire again if you don't point that away from my face. The killer have another gun prepared for tonight. Another handgun. What's that thing sticking out from behind the frame? Ah, it's a secret safe. No, a secret safe? Oh, I smell money. Spare us the trouble and just say it. Nothing like what you're imagining is inside. Now, if you could kindly move this frame out of the way. Roger that. Talk about dusty. I suppose that's what happens when I'm not here to dust it once in a while. I had no idea there was a safe here, or I'd have kept it clean for you, sir. So when did you put this thing in? It wasn't something I had installed personally. Every prosecutor's office has one. Really, I had no idea. Well, only prosecutors are supposed to have knowledge of their existence. So what's inside, Mr. Edgeworth? Another gun. What if... Oh, I think I get it. He broke into the office because he wanted to get the information on a case to get his guilty verdict, and the other guy was trying to stop him. Now this is odd. You found something, sir? This keypad, don't you find it to be a bit too clean? Yeah, there's a thick layer of dust all around it, but not on the keypad itself. You there, forensic scientist? Yes, sir. Could you please dust this area for fingerprints? You got it, sir. I couldn't find, let alone lift, a single print. It looks like it was wiped down well. As I thought, it appears that logic is the only way around the setback. Time to rationally and calmly play the dots with the information we've done. I have no idea if that got picked up at Loud Car. He was after your safe. That's what I deduced earlier. I'm so smart. I believe I figured out what the murderer was after. Well, what is it, sir? He was after the safe in my wall. He wanted the whole thing, not just the contents. That the criminal at least attempted to open my safe, making the culprit's motive for breaking and entering theft, I believe. That's kind of how that works. Maybe it's the signs of a struggle or a result of the theft. I'm gonna say it was this because of this. That's gonna be wrong. Ooh! There's a possibility that the files sprayed on the floor are not the result of a struggle between the victim and his killer. Oh, you mean like it could be from when the killer tried to find something, sir? Oh, that's not what I was thinking. Precisely, we need to figure out if any of the files have been stolen. Yes, sir, I'm gonna shelve these files like you've never seen before, even at a library. Sure, let's give that a try. I don't know how to read, sir. It would appear that the murder was definitely committed here. The bloodstains on this bookshelf are still fresh. I suspect that the victim was killed in a standing position, hence the prints on the shelf. The guy fell onto the floor, right? The blood on the floor is kind of grossing me out. Detective, I don't have the time to deal with your weak stomach right now. It appears that the victim was in a sitting position here after being shot. Oh, so that's why the seat of the victim's pants has blood on it. That would be the logical conclusion. However, handprint. The victim's handprints. He must have tried to support himself with the hands here after being shot. There are prints on the floor too. This must have been made when he was when unable to stay standing, he dropped to the floor. There's a bullet hole here. So this is where the bullet lodged itself after one through the victim, huh? For the bullet to be lodged so squarely in a file spine. Indicates that the files were ransacked after the shooting had occurred. And I guess the victim was moved because he was in the killer's way. If I just inspect the corpse, the killer moved the body because it was leaning against the bookshelf. The blood on this guy's pants proves that pretty well. In a sense, I suppose. See, I'm not completely useless, Mr. Edgeworth. If only you knew, Detective. Oh, is it the fact that this... I'm going out on a limb here. Oh, I can deduce. Is this spot somehow connected to any of the evidence I hold? Yes, it's the gun. This is clearly about the contradiction, not... Nope. It's gotta be the crime scene. There's clearly a contradiction here with this bullet hole. What do you mean, sir? You don't see? Is it because he was standing when he was shot and it would have been really hard for it to go down? Quite simply, the bullet hole itself is too low. Yep, if the victim was shot in the stomach, the hole should be much higher up. But what if the guy was shot while he was sitting or lying down, sir? That would be illogical. The victim leaned against the shelf here after being shot, which suggests that he was standing when he was shot. Then that means... Wait, what does that mean, sir? I don't know. What was the faulty assumption that caused the problem with the bullet hole's position? The position of the body, position of the handprints, the order of the files... I believe the order of the files is a bit off. You mean I put them back in the wrong order just now? Hey, actually I think the labels on the files are wrong, sir. Oh. Yeah, you see how there the files shop begin with the number 0? What are those doing all the way down there after 1, 2, and 3? That's really weird. Actually, the way they're organized now is the correct order. Exactly how I see them in my mind's eye. You're bad at counting, Mr. Edgeworth. But from this we note that the files were not in this order when the crime occurred. Aha, so that's it. I believe the killer made the same incorrect assumption as you just did, Detective. Let's rearrange the files in numerical order and see what we find out. Do you think it'd be okay to prop the body back up to where before it was moved? Finish processing the crime scene, so I don't see why it couldn't be. What about dusting the body's suit for fingerprints? If you please, Detective Gumshoe. As I suspected, the bullet hole is now where it should logically be. The killer went through my files before shooting Mr. Faith. And then put the files back in numerical order, I guess. Exactly, and he proceeded to shoot the victim. But why would someone kill a man and then look through your files one more time? Puzzling indeed. I don't know if that was the right voice. The files were thrown to disarray twice, but once before and once after the crime, but why? Also, okay, never mind, that was a stupid assumption I was about to make. Now then, now the crime scene is as it was at the time of the murder. Time to give it another look. Alright then. This. What is this? No, that's his gumshoe upside down, doesn't it? Oh, they're trying to frame Gumshoe. Why does it say Gumshoe on there in blood? I'd say some incredibly incriminating evidence. Yes, indicative of the criminal indeed. No, wait, there's gotta be some mistake. Mr. Edgeworth, sir, help me. Say something, sir. Guilty. Ooh, I finished the investigation. Looks like Jim was able to leave the name of his killer in the end. And the most important message managed to reach us. I'm telling you, it wasn't me. You can be terribly pleased to hear that your beloved partner is the guilty party. If you're going to accuse Detective Gumshoe of being the culprit, I sincerely hope you have some proof to back it up. Detective Gumshoe, you stole Jim's gun from him and shot him dead. Further, you messed up the files to make it look like you had committed the theft instead. That's when you moved Jim's body that was sitting in front of the bookshelf. But thanks to that, you didn't notice the bloody letters that his body was holding. It will be his final words that he'll brought you to justice. You know, there's something I've been meaning to ask. What is it? Why do you call the victim Jim? And clearly his name is Buddy Faith. Isn't it obvious? Jim is the perfect name for my companion. Jacques and Jim. Don't those two names go together like peanut butter and jam? But Jim isn't even close to the guy's real name. Well, Jacques and Buddy sounds off somehow. Besides, he was the third of a bunch of guys I decided to nickname Jim. He talks about the victim like he was his pet. Oh, because I see it. It's because the crime scene was rearranged initially. They weren't there initially. There we go. Perhaps you're not aware, Mr. Portman, but there's a serious flaw in your logic. There are several serious flaws that I pointed out several times. The fact that Gumshoe has his own gun. I forget what else I was trying to prove earlier. Editing Sanderson. You know what to do. Bringing a bit of the courtroom into this. I see no problem. I'm game. I can't help but find it odd. Excuse me? Odd that a fellow prosecutor would be brought down by the power of his own office. What are you talking about? Oh, you're joking, I get it. Ha. If you have the time to laugh, then you have the time to take another closer look at this. Do you still not see? If not, may I direct your attention to the missing file? Honestly, that's not what I was going for. What? That's impossible. What's impossible, Mr. Portsman? Nothing. The files on the shelf are about a certain case, and the killer went to take the file after murdering your partner. I highly doubt they could have missed the bloody letters written on the spines. It's possible that they could have taken the file before having committing the murder. Nope. I think it's pretty obvious that the file was stolen after it was written on. Wait, so what's the logic going on here? So what's the deduction? I'm trying to figure this out. Editing Sanderson, comprehend this for me and put it in post now. The missing letters on the detective's name was where the file should be proof. Yeah, I mean the S is gone and there's only half an H. If Detective Gumshoe really was the culprit of this case, I highly doubt that even he could overlook his own name written in blood on the files, especially as a detective who can't stand the sight of blood. Well, he got some whiplash in that. Humor me for a second. Who has the key to this office? That would be me. But Mr. Edward just proved that I'm innocent, pal. What's the point of this? That's absolutely right. I'm acknowledging you're innocent. And why do I sense that you still have something to say? What? I don't know what you're talking about. What's he doing? Well, I was thinking. Did you know there was another person with the key to this office? Another person? You, Mr. Edgeworth. Hey, you there.
Yes, sir. What is it, sir?
Would you kindly fetch and escort that lovely young lady here for me? Lady. The girl is a member of these building security. Think of her as a material witness.
Security. Did you say security? No, stop about. Don't.
What's wrong with him all of a sudden? I believe she needs no introduction. I have called upon Miss Maggie Bell, a member of security. Oh, it's Maggie. Detective Gumshoe, sir. Maggie. Miss Bell is the security guard on watch tonight. I see, and your point is... My point is that she could very well have used it. And by it, I mean the master key which can open all office doors in this building. What? If you are not the guilty party, Detective Gumshoe, then the only other person who accuses this room is Miss Bell. How dare you? I would never sneak into someone's room. That's right, I refuse to believe that Maggie's the culprit, pal. It was me. That's right, I did it. Can we take that as a confession, Detective? Oh, well, that wasn't really me, but it definitely wasn't Maggie, pal. So yeah, it was me. If it was, you'd have no problems with that, right? Please refrain from flying off the handle, Detective. There's no need for such harsh theatrics. I don't know where I got the word harsh from, but... It's pretty obvious that Miss Bell snuck into your room using the master key. I mean, if Detective Gumshoe isn't the one who opened the door, then that leaves only Miss Bell as our prime suspect. On top of which, she knows a good detective, doesn't she? Making it all the more probable that she was the woman who faked the dying message. I remember a thing. I don't remember what it was. Stay Miss Bird out. Ask for more details. Not so fast. I too am interested in hearing what Miss Bird has to say. Didn't I just say it'd be a waste of time? We don't need to hear her lies. I'll be the judge of that. Please refer to me as Your Honor from now on. Miss Bird, if you please. Yes, Your Honor. I discovered that the master key was missing around 1 a.m., sir. What do you mean by missing? As in, it wasn't anywhere in the security booth, sir. That's the definition of missing. Look it up. Mr. Portsman, I believe this is to be an important piece of testimony, don't you? I can't believe that someone like you would be taken in by such words. I'm not lying, sir. If that's the case, then I'd like to know why you have the master key now. I don't quite know, but it just reappeared all of a sudden, sir. Ha, likely story, and where's your proof that the key was stolen to begin with? I bet you just forgot where you put it and then found it again. I never lose things. I can practically guarantee that. With me, if something disappears, it's usually because someone stole it. Yeah, pal, trust me. You don't want to test just how bad her luck is. Unfortunately, I can't deem this piece of evidence as conclusive. Glad you agree, Mr. Edgeworth. But, you still haven't established Maggie's motive for breaking into Mr. Edgeworth's office. Her motive didn't we already establish that it was theft? I mean, the culprit clearly went through the bookshelves and at least tried to use the safe. It is possible, as it was Mr. Portsman says, Detective. I can't ignore the fact that all the evidence points toward the motive of theft, but I'm done taking blows. It's time to counterattack with a few facts of my own. Her intent, from the messed up shelves to the wiped down safe, I'd say thievery. The safe, how'd you know? Really? Do you wish to continue insisting that Miss Bird was intent on stealing something? Why not? It's the truth, after all. It was also by your logic that we came to the whole thievery conclusion anyway. It may be true, but you're also aware of the fact that there's a safe is a secret safe, the existence of which is only privy to prosecutors. Wow! I find it a little hard to believe that a hidden safe was a part of her cunning plan. But she could have found it by accident while she was turning everything else upside down. I highly doubt that. I'd say the culprit knew exactly what they were looking for. When and what and how and where. After all, the only bookshelf and the safe were targeted. Yeah, even I didn't know about that safe, pal. And that means there's no way Maggie could have known about it either. Then are you proposing that the killer is a prosecutor? Interesting conclusion. That's definitely looking more and more probable. Your face has some awfully interesting emotions. What's wrong, prosecutor? Do you have a different suspect in mind now? Gases, why? What made you? What's with the angry face all of a sudden? It's all my fault. What do you mean? It's Jim. He knew about the existence of these secret safes. What did you just say? We are partners, like inseparable conjoined twins. That's usually how that works. That's why I told him. I filled him in on the secret safes. Then that means, yeah, I know. I just told him too. Obviously, I was wrong of me to tell him. I still can't quite believe it, but the thief who broke into your room, that was probably Jim. Now he's claiming that the victim was the thief. Highly unlikely. And you are simply trying to stop him, aren't you? Miss Maggie barreled. Excuse me? I mean, you are a security guard, right? That's your job. But killing is going a bit too far, even for your risky profession. What the? You're still accusing Maggie of murder? Yes and no. I mean, she had stumbled upon Jim, who had probably drawn his gun. I get it. It was self-defense, wasn't it? No, I couldn't. I could never do something like that. Not even as a security guard, sir. It was Jim who stole the master key. Pretty impossible for a supposed stolen key to be here with us, unless you achieved it from Jim after you killed him. Now then, I think we're done here. The investigation waits for no man. Would you people be so kind to see yourselves out?
can't kick us out. This is Mr. Edgeworth's office. Ah, but I'm the one who's been assigned to this case. You're all suspects to varying degrees and therefore ineligible to run this show. Listen, pal, how many times do I have to say this? Maggie can't be the culprit. Detective Gumshoe, calm yourself. But sir, we have no choice but to accommodate to his request for now. Ha, thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. At least one of you understands. Now then, if you could remove yourselves from my crime scene, I'd be most grateful. Mark my words, Portsman, we'll meet again. That's a formal request from the legendary prosecutor himself, I suppose so. Now don't disappoint me, you hear? To be continued. Okay, that's a great wrapping point. Alright, that's doing it for Ace Attorney Investigation. That was actually really fun, but I have heard that the final case in this game is like 10 hours of back and forth. Nuh-uh, yeah-huh, nuh-uh, yeah-huh. I mildly wanna, alright, so here's the deal. I'm calling it here in this recording session, but editing Sanderson, cut to the scene where the part 2 Sanderson takes a hold of it.
Transition.
Alright, so this is a different recording session, you probably could tell that, but we're out in the hallway. I'm gonna have to try and remember everything that happened.
What's with that, prosecutor? I can't believe how rude he was. It was unbelievable.
Please maintain your professionalism, detective.
I'm gonna find some real solid proof in Maggie's innocence. You'll see, sir.
But we've been kicked out of the crime scene, sir.
True. So then, what now?
There are many other places and things we should be looking into anyway. I'm going to take a look at the vending machine. For example, this hallway, there's a basketball. Ooh, investigation again. So does everyone follow me? No. No, that's the couch. I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious looking nook and cranny. Yep, there's a book down here. It's the missing file. It's...
Is that the missing OC0 series file, sir?
No doubt about it. This bloody letters make it clear as day. There seems to be a few pages missing. Our thief took only what was necessary and left the rest behind.
So what are these zero files about, sir? I guess they've got something worth stealing in them, huh?
Please press next. Not particularly, it's just a collection of court case files. However, the cases within these files are not mine.
Huh? You stole them?
Yes, I did.
Talk about a luxury waiting area. These papers are also great for napping, you know.
You would sleep even out here, detective? In a hallway?
I don't have a bed, sir. My pay keeps getting cut.
I don't see any signs of forced entry.
And according to the guard, no signs of the lock was picked either, sir.
Meaning the door really was opened with a key. Did you happen to ask if any prints were lifted from the doorknob?
Apparently the doorknob's clean as a whistle. Wiped, they think.
Whoever this thief is, they did a good job of not leaving any clues behind. Why is there basketball here? There's a basketball hoop right next to you. What is a basketball doing here?
That's Mr. Portman's prized possession, sir. I heard he used to play soccer, dodgeball, and even tennis.
Not a single one of those sports suitable to be played in a hallway.
1203. Hey Maggie, whose room is this?
It's Mr. Portman, sir. So he's my new neighbor. I see, I suppose he moved from way overseas. What is a basketball hoop doing here?
Hey, didn't this used to be just outside next to the building a long time ago?
So when and why was it moved indoors?
I don't remember exactly, but I saw one of the officers drag it up here recently.
Drag it?
I heard that it wouldn't fit in the elevator, so the poor guy had to bring it up himself.
All the way up to the 12th floor.
Gumshoe, that didn't happen to be you, did it?
Payne, what are you doing here? Payne? Talk to me.
It looks like you're in quite the pinch, Mr. Edgeworth.
To be sure, murder within the walls of the prosecutor's office is no trifling matter. We must find, apprehend, and punch the killer accordingly to post him.
It sounds like you got a messy case you got on your hands. If you ever feel lost or need some advice, my door is always open.
How gracious, I will keep your offer in mind. Who is this guy again? Maggie. I was wondering if I may speak with you for a bit concerning the case. I've always been a big fan of the courtroom, but this is like a dream where I'm being cross-examined by the Miles Edgeworth. I can't let this chance pass by me and must remember to ask her about the master key. Since I was 6 months old when I fell from the ninth floor of my apartment building, I've been hit by all sorts of vehicles, gotten sick from all sorts of foods, failed at almost test I've ever taken, experienced almost every kind of disaster. Now I've managed to be named a criminal. just when I've become a security guard. That's a lot to go through in one lifetime. I know. So when did you discover that the master key was missing? By the time I realized it, I think it was around 1 a.m., sir. And I noticed it was back around 2:30 a.m. It was just sitting there on the ledge where the security room's reception window is. But I'm sure that between those 2 times it was not gone, but stolen, sir. Why is it such an important key stored in such an insecure place? It's not like that, sir. We always keep the key further inside the room, away from the window. Always, you say, except for this time, correct? Well, I admit it was a bit of careless, but I had my reasons. I left it out there because I was sort of using it at the time. It was after I'd used it, I left it sitting out on the ledge. She used the master key. What did you mean by use the master key? Oh, I had to use it to open the door for his prosecutor who had forgotten his key. I mean, it's my job as a security guard, right? What is it? That's right, I just remembered. The prosecutor who forgot his key... Portsman? It was Mr. Portsman, sir. What? Please tell me more, Miss Bird, quickly. It was around 12 a.m. Mr. Portsman had forgotten his office key, so he came down to security, sir. And that's when you loaned the master key to him. No way, it's against regulations to loan the key out to anyone. I walked with Mr. Portsman to his office and opened the door for him personally, sir. I see. And then, what happened after that? Well, he called for me to come close up his office as he was leaving to go home. That was around 1:30 a.m., I think. So in summary, for the sake of one forgetful prosecutor, you used the master key twice tonight. I think I have something. The master key was used between 12 and 1:30, but it was missing from 1 a.m. to 2:30. Which means it was stolen after Maggie used it. That's not a lot of health I have. Oh! Come on, Miss Bird, I'm afraid there's a flaw in your story. What? No way, pal. I mean, sir. You said that you locked up Mr. Portman's office around 1:30 a.m., correct? However, the master key had already been stolen at that time. Wow, nothing gets by you, Mr. Edgeworth. You saw the contradiction like a pro. I had totally forgot about that, but thanks to you, I remembered now. You're right, it was around the very time I realized the master key was missing. And? Well, I am a security guard, sir. I couldn't just admit to losing the master key, could I? So I pretended to lock up his room, sir. You pretended? Yeah, I used my house key and made it look like I was locking up, sir. So in actuality, you never did relock the door then? Well, I thought that maybe I could go lock it after I found the key. Come to think of it, I guess the door still hadn't been locked properly. Ooh. One resident thought it inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. This door is... Edgeworth. Wait. I bet the old credit card trick wouldn't work here, huh, Mr. Edgeworth? This is the office of a high prosecutor, detective. These doors would be pretty ineffective if the average cat burglar could get through them. So I guess only a great cat burglar could get them. That is who our culprit is. Might I advise you to return that conclusion to wherever pawn shop you bought it from and speak that sentence a little better? Yeah, deduce. Spot somehow connect to any of the evidence I hold? It's Portsman's door. Maggie Bird unlocked the door, but the master key stolen so she could not lock it up. Yeah! Eureka! There's a contradiction between the reality and the evidence. What if what Miss Bird said has... Boy howdy. If what Miss Bird has said is true, then why is this door locked tight? Huh? No, you're right. Miss Bird, are you sure you didn't relock this door? I'm certain of it, sir. I don't think Mr. Portman's noticed it himself if I hadn't. Which means... What, sir? It either means that he actually does have the key to his office, or the door Miss Bird opened wasn't the one at all, but a completely different one. She opened a different door, but how can you prove that? There's an easy way to find out. All we need to do is... we need to examine these. The prints on the doorknob. The prints on the doorknob will tell us everything. Hey, you. Yeah, you, pal. Do us a favor and see what you can find from this, okay? So, what'd you find out? There's no need for such belligerent nostril flaring, detective. Sir, I have found only Mr. Portman's and Mr. Faith's prints on this doorknob. So only 2 people's prints were found on this, huh? It's pretty decisive. Huh, I'm lost, sir. Thinking logically, a certain other person's print should be on this doorknob as well. Now then, whose print should also be on this doorknob? Mine, not Maggie's. Obviously. Why did I need to deduce that? Yes, the door that Miss Bird opened could not have been this one, but a different one. Yep. Mr. Port... Oh. It just clicked. Mr. Portsman got Maggie to unlock Edgeworth's office so he could get the file, and he then got Maggie to lock it up after he had killed Faith, but he didn't have the key. But I know exactly what I'm thinking, I just can't put it into words. What have we here? I won't rest until I've inspected everything. The basketball. What's this? Looks like a scrap of paper. I'll get it, sir. He puts it in his mouth and he eats it. Haven't eaten food in a couple days. Looks like a note from the victim. Yeah, and it's for Mr. Portsman. I brought the 3 pieces of evidence by, just like we talked about on the phone, but it looks like you're out. Guess we'll catch up to you later, buddy. Alright then. Yeah, it's been moved. What's this? What are you looking at, sir? Oh, hey, how about a gate? That's okay, detective. I just found the position of this hoop to be a little off. The positioning of the hoop is definitely unnatural. I'd better take note of this. Basketball hoop. How is that going to be relevant? Oh, that's the investigation. Hey, there goes my health up. Poking around this hallway has actually paid off quite handsomely. Huh? How so, sir? In a variety of different ways. I think it's time we had a little chat with the real culprit of this case. Know who the killer is? Ah, Mr. Edgeworth. Detective, care to have a conversation with me? The mastermind behind this murder is none other than Mr. Portsman. Come what may, it's time to knock on Truth's door. That's your door, Mr. Edgeworth. Mr. Portsman, I finished processing the bloody letter, sir. Alright, let me take a gander at it. Pass it here. Okay, looking good. You there, take good care of this. Whoa! Well, if it isn't Detective Gumshoe. End of the line for you, Portsman. We've got you now. Call off your dog, Mr. Edgeworth. Is he some kind of joke? It's no joke. We know, Mr. Jacques Portsman, that you are the guilty party in this case. Actually, come to think of it, your mentor was Manfred von Karma, right? The legendary prosecutor who never lost a single case for 40 long years. But there's always this incessant chatter about the forged evidence with that guy. Really teaches me I've got to stay on the lookout for false accusations, you know? Are you done trying to play mind games with me because they won't work? The only thing you should be using is that mouth of yours is now... The only thing you should be using that mouth of yours for now is explaining yourself. Although that too will dig your hole deeper. Either way, your game is up. I have no idea what sort of harebrained idea you have in mind, but there's a mountain of evidence that points away from me being the culprit. Besides, how I asked, do you propose I unlock your door and got it in here? Look, I feel bad doing this to you, but I've got work to do, so we're done here. Sorry, but we are not finished yet. Boy, you're stubborn. I suppose you're basing your accusation on something? I'll show you what I'm basing my accusations on. With evidence. That's what I call my fists. How do you get the master key? That was easy. No, it wasn't. I believe you were able to open my office with the master key, no less. Wait. Hold on for a sec. I never laid a finger on that key, as you already know. Precisely, you were able to open my door without lifting a single finger. Well, maybe you did, but only to direct. I thought I was going to finish that sentence, but apparently not. That's right, you used your finger to direct this person to open the door with the key. I feel like that's just common sense at this point.
You had asked Miss Bird to open your own office door for you, yes? Yeah, I kind of forgot my key at home. Happens a bit too often for my taste, you know. But the room you had Miss Bird open at that time was not your own, was it? What? You have quite the imagination. But why don't we ask the girl herself whose door she opened? Shall we? I'm certain that it was Mr. Portsman's door, sir. I checked the number plate to make sure I was opening the right door, sir. He slit the door number up. See, Miss Bird backs up my story. What if you had misled her to fool into thinking what you wanted? Ha! And how do you suppose I did that? By switching the number plates on the doors, for example. That's right, they do slide out pretty easily. Furthermore, you then used another thing to give you a very strong impression. That the door she was opening was yours and not, in fact, mine. What was it that Mr. Portman used to make Miss Bird think it was his room? The basketball hoop. What? The basketball hoop, sir? It's quite peculiar. It's quite the peculiar fixture in the hallway, let alone the hallway in this building. Which is why it left an unusually strong impression on you. It's an object perfectly suited to sit just outside the office of a peculiar prosecutor. Wow. That's very true, sir, because there was a basketball hoop sitting there. I thought the door's opening had to be Mr. Portman's. There are signs that the hoop has been moved, to sit it in front of my office, to be sure. I see, so that's how you lost suspicion on people. Thanks for the tip. But I think your conjecture is a little off the ice track. Buddy, you can't make an argument out of this. Now you're just spouting nonsense. I had to go open my office door. After that, I was in my room the entire time. You don't have a single reason to suspect me. I'm sorry, nonsense. You had the girl open your door. After that, you were in my room the entire time. Present this paper from Faith. There we go. Easy. Okay, enough with the little finger wag. That was a lie. Well, what are you talking about? How is that a lie? This is a note that the victim left for you, Mr. Portsman. A note? It was left under your door, or did you not notice? And right here it says, "But you're out." You were not in your room when the victim came to call on you. So then, where were you, and what were you doing? Shall I explain it in full detail for you? You were busy snooping around in my room, the very room you had Miss Bird open for you. That's just nonsense. You have no evidence that I made the girl open your door for me. Oh, but I do. I have very decisive evidence. This is proof positive that you had Miss Bird open the door. It's Mr. Portsman's door. I had your door dusted for fingerprints. My door, what for? Come on, I bet you didn't find anything. You sure are good at wasting time. You're right, I didn't find anything. And definitely not Miss Bird's fingerprints. Her prints, what do they have to do with anything? Let's put it this way, if she really was the one who opened your door, then her prints should naturally be on the doorknob she touched. Further, all the prints on my office doorknob have been wiped clean off. I can only assume because it's Miss Bird's fingerprints were on it. Don't you think it's time you gave up your charade? We know you stole into my office with the intent of stealing something from me. And Detective Faith found you out, possibly because he heard sounds coming from a room whose occupant was on leave. Mr. Portsman, you killed Mr. Faith to silence him. I had the misfortune to return when I did, so you had to threaten me as you escaped. As I said when you had the gun to my back, no one gets away with committing murder in my office. And just what's so funny, pal? That look of stiff seriousness on the face of this office finance prosecutor, as he makes a huge mistake in accusing me, is simply too much to bear. There's just nothing else like it in the world. What? And Mr. Archer just explained it up, and he even backed it up. You're the murderer. Stop trying to be slippery and just admit to the crime already. And as I said earlier, it's also circumstantial, so it's just full of conjecture. You say you checked my doorknob for prints? Well, I can readily confess that I had wiped down that knob well. Eh?
I'm a little obsessive compulsive, you see. I didn't want to touch a doorknob that you had touched. Which is why I wiped the knob down as soon as I could after you opened the door. After that, it makes perfect sense that only Jims and my prints would be on there. You made up that just now, didn't you? Furthermore, as for the note Jim left me, do you know exactly when that was? For all we know, he could have left it there before I arrived at the office. Like, the evening, for example. Are you saying you failed to notice a note in your doorway? Hey, even geniuses fail at that. I was probably too preoccupied by work-related matters, although that's no excuse. That's just a flat-out lie. There's no way you didn't notice a note that size. But you can't prove that, can you? Yes, I can. Say something, Mr. Rogers. Back me up here, sir. Bossman makes a good point. You can prove that he didn't simply overlook it. But we can get him on the fact that he says he's compulsive and wiped down the doorknob. We know that's not true because he has Faith continuously pass him the ball when he's playing basketball. Right? That's what they were talking about in the hallway. Besides, I have an airtight alibi. Airtight, you say? I only realized that I had one just now as we were talking. I guess it would have been better for all if I told you sooner. You see, I was in your room and I was killing the victim. Wait a minute. If my memory serves, you came back to this office around 2 a.m., correct? And it was then you had that unfortunate confrontation at gunpoint with the culprit. But exactly that time, I was down at Criminal Affairs. Ask around, I'm sure the other detectives will corroborate my story. It's a perfect alibi. Do you really think it's that perfect? Like I said, I don't care. Ask around all you like. You'll see for yourself. Detective Gumshoe. Sir, yes, sir. I'll go check out his alibi, sir. Be right back. Sir, I got lost on the way downstairs. The guys down in Criminal Affairs, they said they saw him around 2 a.m. You see, all the evidence points to him being the culprit. There must be a contradictory point in his alibi somewhere. All I need to do is press him a little, push him a little and see what comes out. It'll be a little bit of poop. Impossible. He actually does have the perfect alibi. What's wrong? Why is he suddenly still a look on your face? Can't you say anything back, Mr. Edgeworth? I think we've reached the end of the line and it's time to get off this crazy train. You there. Sir. Please escort the young lady out, but remember, be gentle. No, Maggie. Detective Gumshoe. I think there's some animations I might have accidentally skipped. Is there nothing I can do? There must be a way to turn the situation around. Logic. If only I had a clue. Did I miss something that can help me cast doubt on his alibi? The intruder I met could not have been Portsman, then who could it have been? I need to calm my things through one more time and use logic. I'm forced to be. Wait a minute. Other than the victim's gun I found, could there be another handgun in play here? The culprit rearranged my files twice, once before and once after the murder. Why? The intruder I met could not have been Portsman. Who then he would have been? Oh! They were disarrayed first, and then the first time was because Mr. Portsman, right? I'll try the other. Oh, okay. Evidence points to the shelves being disrupted once before and once after the murder. But who's to say the person... But who's it to say that the person who did the second time is the same as the first? Which could mean there was another person who paid a visit to my office that night. Maybe the victim and his killer were the only visit. And I can connect that with the other handgun. Yeah. There's another visitor, which is the reason why there was another handgun at the scene. If indeed there were two culprits, then that resolved the contradiction behind our murder weapon. Despite the fact that there are 2 bullets here in this room, the murder weapon only shows signs of being fired once, leaving the possibility that the other bullet was fired from the other visitor's gun. Mr. Portsman, could you please point that gun away from my skull? Furthermore, if you suppose that the second culprit's gun was the one that pointed at my back, Mr. Portsman, it seems that I need to amend my assumptions regarding the case.
Great, so you finally come to your senses.
Mr. Edgeworth!
Sir, what are you saying?
This has been a big misunderstanding on my part from the start. I had assumed that the person I ran into was the killer, but that might not be the case.
What do you mean?
The person I ran into was just your average thief.
A thief? But, sir,
doesn't that cause some sort of contradiction in the facts? Not at all. It simply means that the killer was someone else. And that means that, in actuality, two culprits stole into my office that night.
Well, what do you mean two?
More than one, detective. Look it up. It explains both why the shelves were disrupted twice and how there were two guns. Mr. Portsman tricked Miss Bird and gained entry into my office.
Now you're just leading the argument. You still don't have any actual proof, you know.
If you could please go along with my hypothetical scenario for now, Mr. Portsman. If in the end you really are innocent, you should have nothing to worry about. Now then, returning to my scenario, Mr. Portsman was out to steal something from me, which is why he checked my secret safe and ransacked my shelves. This is the first time.
So then, this would be when the files were put back in the wrong order, right?
Correct, and then just as he was about to look somewhere else. Who should walk in but his own partner, Mr. Faith?
But why did Mr. Faith come into your room, sir?
He probably had business with Mr. Portsman, which is why he was in the area. But that's when he noticed sounds coming from my office, would be my guess. Oh, because you were supposed to be away, right?
And he must have thought it was odd, so we came into the office to check it out.
Correct, and as a detective, that was the right thing to do. But when he came in, he found his own partner standing there. Because it was Mr. Portsman Mr. Faith probably let his guard down. But Mr. Portsman was not merciful as to let him leave him alive. He waited for his chance and he stole Mr. Faith's gun from him, and then he killed him. He silenced Mr. Faith for catching him in the act of stealing. This is the moment when the first shot landed. This is the moment in which the first shot was fired, the one that landed in my files. Following that, Mr. Portman wiped down the gun and left it behind as he made his exit. He could afford to do that because he had also left the fake dying message behind.
You're such a complicated troublemaker, you know that?
Well, if things were as simple as that, then it would all be solved. However, there was yet another visitor to my room, and that is where it gets complicated.
There was another visitor, sir?
Yes, and this other person's objective was to steal something from me. Now then, even after Mr. Portsman left, the door to my office remained unlocked. However, this new visitor had no way of knowing that, and so they stole the master key from the security guard's room, and then entered my room and searched through my shelves. This is the second time they were disturbed, and it seems the thief found their prize.
The stolen zero file, right, sir?
Correct. Just as the thief was about to leave with the file, I appeared. The thief then threatened me with their own gun and made their escape. The second bullet was fired during that brief encounter.
So the shelves getting messed up twice, and the two bullets. It was all because the two different people were doing those things at two different times.
Precisely. So now do you see, Mr. Portsman? The person I met was just a thief and not, in fact, Mr. Faith's killer. Your alibi for the time frame in which I ran into the other person is now irrelevant, because we now know that the murder took place during the first culprit's visit.
What's so funny, pal?
Absolutely splendid. Your scenario explains everything.
Of course it does. It's Mr. Edgeworth, after all.
But you know, it still doesn't change the fact that it's all circumstantial. Supposing if, and that's a big if your theory is right, it would indeed render my alibi, which has withstood scrutiny, mind you, irrelevant. But there are still one defining point of your argument for which you have no evidence. Your supposition that I was the first visitor.
Mr. Edgeworth, you can't let him get away with that, sir.
But he has a point. I have absolutely no proof at this point. Don't say that, sir.
I don't believe this. Don't worry, Maggie. I'll do something if I must. You know something, I find your attitude to be somewhat peculiar, Mr. Edgeworth. If the person you met was really just a plain old thief, then why is that person not your main suspect? That is, if your theory is correct. Portsman's alibi. Why is this music so upbeat? I'm trying to catch a killer, not like dance at like a disco party or something. The thief you ran into should be a real suspect, shouldn't you say? You should be out there looking for that thief right now. They might still be nearby. I had to repeat myself, but I've already said I was training in my room. And when Jim came in to deliver some evidence to me, I was down with criminal affairs. So I can't be expected to know what happened after I left. And what of the evidence you brought? There are things related to yesterday's case, just 2 items, a gum and a pendant. Interesting, this piece of testimony seems too crucial to let it slip through the cracks. He brought me 2 items, a gun and a pendant that's all related to yesterday's case. Was this the... Wait. I guess I'll catch you. Yep. Brings you 3 evidences. Only 2 pieces. I believe the proper phrase here is, you fail. Hey, excuse me? You fail as a prosecutor, Mr. Portsman, as you intend to keep evidence hidden from me. What are you talking about? I haven't hidden anything from you. Well, here's a piece I think you should read carefully. Ah! It says Mr. Faker is bringing 3 pieces. Yes, and this is the victim's real dying message to you, Mr. Portsman. I can't believe to get tripped up by simple arithmetic. Where is the missing piece of evidence? You have it, don't you? Only the guilty would make such a face. Detective Gumshoe. You don't have to say it, sir. I'll pat that guy down from head to toe. Oh, don't come any closer, I'm harming you. It's all part of the investigation, pal, so don't even think about stabbing me. No. Hey, what's this? Add it on him, sir. Despite what you said, it would appear that you do have something to hide. But why would he hide something like that? There's only one reason why anyone would hide evidence of this caliber. It's a .44 caliber pistol, hidden within this videotape. You see, there's a secret compartment. By simply lifting the lid, it reveals a small gun hand. Let's examine this videotape a little more in detail, for the section of the tape that will drive the last nail into the coffin. KG8 incident. The KG8 incident? That's a police case number, sir. Does that mean this video is evidence from that case? Interesting. However, what's recorded on this... However, what's recorded on this isn't what's important right now. Let's give the case a thorough once over. Oh. It was on him when he got shot. Oh. He got shot while it was on him, so he got the blood on him. So Portsman had to keep that on him so he wouldn't get caught. Ah, that's blood, isn't it, sir? Yes, and I believe this is what the good prosecutor was trying to hide from us. This blood is still fresh. You mean, this might be Detective Faith's blood? Yeah, no, you've got it all wrong. No amount of denial can save you. We've but to run a blood test to find the truth. You told us that you had received evidence from the victim earlier. Now you will tell us when and how did the victim's blood find its way into the video. Yeah, it's totally suspicious. Was it at the moment of his death? Or did Detective Faith have this videotape on his personage when you killed him? No, very well, there's no way to prove that. Not even if we were examining the tape for fingerprints? If I had to take a guess, I'd say that the only ones on here would belong to the murderous you and Mr. Faith. No, impossible, Did you steal metal? What was that passing out animation? March 14th, 5:47 a.m. High Prosecutor's Office, room 1202.
Mr. Portsman is placed under arrest for the murder of Detective Buddy Face, sir.
Very good.
And the results we got back from the lag text on the tape turned out to be real solid, sir. The blood work came back and was definitely Mr. Fate's blood on there. And as a bonus, they were able to fit a few of Mr. Fate's fingerprints as well.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Redworth. I still can't believe I got to see your cool deduction skills outside the courtroom. I'm impressed beyond words, sir. It was nothing. I'm just sorry you got caught up in a murder in my office. Please accept my apologies. Ah, it's nothing, really. Compared to what I've been through, I mean. I consider myself lucky that I was only a burglary and a murder this time, sir. If it had been a hold-up or a hostage situation, I'd have thrown my hands up in the air. I think I'm finally rising up from a goddess of misfortune to just an unlucky person. Something tells me we should have hired a different person for security detail.
You know something, sir? That Mr. Portsman really was one corrupt prosecutor.
And why would you say he was corrupt?
Well, I heard there were a number of suspicious things related to his court cases. There's even rumors about how some of the evidence he uses is forged, sir.
Forged evidence, huh? Where have I heard that one before?
And they say that he even decided not to prosecute a few cases for some really vague reasons.
Oh, that guy was a complete disgrace to the entire profession. You never did get around to asking what his reason was for breaking into my office.
Yeah, whenever we got near that topic, he just clammed up.
Although we can be pretty certain it was to steal something.
This is just between you and me, sir, but there's a rumor that some sort of huge organization is involved behind the scenes.
Oh, well. With Mr. Portsman not willing to divulge into anything, it certainly lends credence. Certainly lends C to that rumor. It would seem that we haven't heard the last of this.
Huh? Isn't that Mr. Portsman isn't the bad guy?
I didn't say that! I just said we're not filled with tumors!
For example, we still haven't figured out the significance of this piece of evidence. The case file, the safe. It's gotta be the case file. Oh, what do they want with your safe?
Sir, I don't think there's any mystery left to that. Oh, come on. The only thing left that we still don't know about is maybe this.
Come on. Yes, the 0 series file, the significance of which... Hey, why you... Stop it. It was auto-progressing. I don't like that. The person who stole this file, the other villain of the night.
Yeah, I wonder who it was.
And what happened to the stolen pages? I wonder, who in the world was it that held me at gunpoint? Mr. Edwards, sir. Yes? I came across this while I was processing your office earlier, sir. This card.
What is it, sir? Is that a bird or something on there?
It's not just any bird. It's the mark of the raven, a 3-legged raven.
Mr. Redresser, I don't think that's a leg in the middle there.
Even you should know what this is, Detective.
Oh, it's about the thing, isn't it? The great thief everyone's talking about?
Yes, it is the mark of the great thief Yatagarasu. Under the mark of a legendary bird, the Yatagarasu is noble to the end, a modern Robin Hood. Labeled mysterious and phantom-like, the Yatagarasu appears and vanishes at will. Yatagarasu haunts embassy. The noble Yatagarasu vigilante, the business world reappears. Though we don't know much about this thief's ultimate goal, we do know the targets. The Yatagarasu likes to find and make public evidence The Yatagarasu likes to find and make public evidence of corrupt dealings of the sort. The thief is always performed in the silence and always with perfection. Once a target is chosen, no dramatic calling card or announcement is sent forth. Instead, the chosen corporation is infiltrated without even the target noticing. Some dessert of the evidence that was found is sent out to the mass media, along with a single card. Although it has been a while since the Yatagarasu's last appearance.
Hey, Mr. Edgeworth, look, something's written on the bag.
But let me see. The location where the thief put the stolen files. That's not English. So the person who stole the contents of the file was the Yatagarasu. Yatagarasu. Organization. Quite a few keywords are popping up in this mystery. When did his office get back to normal? The murder in my office. The return of the great thief Yatakarasu. Looking back, I can't say I didn't see these events coming, for they were herald for the incidents that began to occur 2 days ago. What happened 2 days ago? Was it the next case? What? I was about to make a joke and then I realized I don't know. Oh, look, it's Von Karma. Save. Hey, here we are. By the way, I did get the remaining episodes. Look, Airlines, Kidnap Turnabout, Reminiscence, and Ablaze. Wow. Look at all that cool stuff. Anyway, that's about it for me on this episode of Ace Attorney Investigations. It's probably the only one I'm going to do. I do want to test this, or play this out for myself. But other than that, yeah, this has been Ace Attorney Investigations. I quite liked it. I'm probably going to play this on my own time. So, yeah, if you like this video and you want to see more stuff like this from me, consider, liking, subscribing, disliking, all that stuff, ringing the bell. I don't know. Whatever you want to do it. If you've made it this far, I'd appreciate it if you did. But if not, then just, yeah, I don't know. But, if you want to do all that stuff, go right ahead. I don't know what you want to do, though, so I'm not in charge of you. But, yeah, so that does it for this episode of Ace Attorney Investigations. So, I've been Seanderson, and have a good one, y'all.